Lesson 4 in the Exercise Files folder. This file contains all 8 sets of legs Angelo needs to walk. A link to the exercise files have been provided in the class description. If you drew all 8 pairs yourself in the previous lesson, you can just continue. In this lesson, we will be putting Angelo's legs in sequence frame by frame. Frame by frame animation is traditional animation. This type of animation takes ages to do, so I reserve it for things like walking or dramatic facial expressions. If you were ever bored in school, you might have made 1 or 2 of these animations in the corner of your workbooks. The amount of pages we use, or frames in this case, depends entirely on the type of action we want to show. The kind of walk cycle we're animating only needs 8 frames. 8 frames seems like nothing, less than half a second, but for a fast walk, it's all we need. These 8 poses played on a loop will create the illusion of walking. Let's begin. First, we'll put all the moving parts into separate layers. We already have one layer. Let's use it for Angelo's body and head. Rename it to Angelo Body by double-clicking on the text. Next, create 3 empty layers. Name them and order them as shown. I'm ordering them by simply clicking and dragging on the layer title. Let's move each part to the correct layer. Drag select all the leg poses. Notice that once we click on any one of the legs, its layer gets automatically selected. Now we cut the selected objects and change to the legs layer. Right-click and select Paste in Place. You should see the empty keyframe become filled. To check that the legs are on the right layer, click the visibility toggle. If they are all on the layer you hide, they should all disappear. Now do the same for both arms. Lock all but the legs layer to avoid switching layers accidentally. Each layer now has a timeline and different things can happen on each. Currently all the layers have one keyframe. We'll start with the one on the legs layer. Delete Angelo's standing pose and move the first pose into place until it looks natural. Now we need some sense of where the floor is. Go to the View menu and switch on the rulers. Using the Selection tool, drag the top ruler downwards. You will see a guideline follow your cursor. Release when you hit Angelo's heels. For the rest of the leg poses, we need 7 more keyframes, so let's insert them. Click on frame 2. To view frame options, right-click on the selected frame. Choose Insert Blank Keyframe. This is a keyframe without any drawings on it yet. Now the stage appears blank. Before placing the second pair of legs on this frame, it would be better if we could see Angelo's body on the other layer, so we need to add a frame for that as well. The body layer does not change, so we don't need a keyframe. We'll right-click on frame 2 in this layer and choose Insert Frame. A normal frame just copies what happens on the previous keyframe. Let's have the body appear for all 8 frames. Luckily we don't have to select each frame we want to fill, just the one on the end. Do the same for both the arm layers. Now when we return to the legs layer on frame 2, we can see where the legs should go. Move to frame 1 and select the second pose and cut it. Move back to frame 2 and paste. Move the legs to where they look natural. Click on frame 3 and insert another blank keyframe. Do the same for the third leg pose. Scrub the timeline to make sure it all looks natural. Repeat this until all 8 poses are distributed over 8 frames. To play the animation, go to the control menu and click Test. It is quite fast at 24 frames per second. We need to adjust the timing. We can do that by inserting normal frames in between each keyframe to hold the pose for 1 frame longer. This is a bit tedious to do for all 8 keyframes. I'm going to undo and rather highlight the frames I want to adjust timing for. To do that, deselect your keyframe first, then click and drag to highlight all 8 frames on the legs layer. Next, drag the highlighted line on the right all the way to frame 16. Extend the other layers the same way, or by just inserting a normal frame on frame 16 for each. The leg animation now holds each pose for longer, slowing the animation. It looks a little choppy, so we won't make the timing any longer than 2 frames per pose. Lastly, we will animate the arms in the same choppy way. Select the 3rd frame on the front arm layer, and this time insert a keyframe. This makes a copy of the last keyframe, but this time you can record a new change. Select the free transform tool, adjust the pivot to the shoulder, and rotate it back a bit. Now on frame 9, we want the arm to move back. Instead of inserting a new keyframe and rotating the arm back, let's copy the 1st frame and use that instead. It's easier than recreating a pose that already exists. Right-click on frame 1, choose Copy, and then right-click on frame 9 and choose Paste. From here the arm can go up. Choose frame 11 and insert a keyframe. Rotate the arm up. Now we will rotate the bottom arm in the other direction. To see what you're doing, toggle visibility for the body layer. Finally, test the video to see what it looks like. You can play with the timing if you want. Simply highlight a keyframe and drag it. I will undo this because I worked out the timing beforehand.
To celebrate a job well done, let's export this walk cycle to an animated GIF. Click the File menu and choose Export to Animated GIF. Deselect Clip to Stage and click Save.